Hello and happy Friday, y'all. I hope all is well. I know it's late night and I come with a late night special, so here it is. But before I get to it, you can watch the replay on the Instagram feed. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then also there will be some clips on the on Twitter. And hello to everyone that came on. Hello, hello, hello. So here it is. Of course, COVID is still here, and it's the actual 2-year anniversary that the national emergency in the White House marked this pandemic as a national emergency, right? So with that being said, according to the COVID website from the Johns Hopkins University of Medicine, the global confirmed cases of COVID-19 around the world is 455,231,352 cases. The global death toll is at 6,036,139. U.S. confirmed cases are at 79,507,030. And the U.S. death toll is 967,165. So, just gonna say hello to everyone. So once again, let's repeat these numbers. Global confirmed cases are at 231,352. The global death toll is at 6,036,139. Hi, Dr. C. U.S. confirmed cases are at 79,507,030. And the U.S. death toll is at 967,165. As of vaccinations, there were 297,718 doses administered. And as of today, 216.4 million people in United States are vaccinated. So that is 66% of the population. As I stated before, today marks the 2-year anniversary that the national emergency in the White House declared this pandemic as a state of emergency or a national emergency. So, and also according to more news, Deltacron, according to Chicago's NBC5, the cases of the new variant confirmed by the World Health Organization, WHO. For those who don't know what the World Health Organization is. The World Health Organization this week confirmed that the emergence of the new COVID variant dubbed as Deltacron, a hybrid strain that combines both the Delta and Omicron variants. And there is more. The cases have been identified as 17 patients according to Reuters. Since the entities have confirmed it's too early to know the transmissible Deltacron infections will be or they will cause serious diseases, a researcher who published a report regarding these cases told this to Reuters. Patients described in this report affected with the strand that combines the spike protein from an Omicron variant within the body of the Delta variant. The World Health Organization officials said this is a very good surveillance in many countries right now, and given the sheer number of changes and mutations with Omicron, it was much easier for researchers and scientists and public health professionals, people who are studying this, to be able to detect the recombinants. So there's no change in severity as they reported, but science morphs every day and science changes almost every day. So with nearly 500 million cases confirmed around the world, nearly 500 million cases, over 6 million people around the world dead, Here in the United States in particular, there's almost 80 million people infected, confirmed cases of COVID-19, and almost 1 million people dead. 2 years into this, declared by the national emergency in the White House at the time, and 66% of the country vaccinated. And yet folks want to relax on mask mandates, social distancing, taking the vaccine, or any supplement to, like, I guess, cure COVID, I guess, whatever. I would just like to say that this false optimism by some of these quote-unquote politicians who, you know, want to win re-election, I'm here to say this, and I'm going to be blunt. COVID is going to be here until next year. And the reason why COVID is going to be here till next year, because people are not listening to the science and to the data and to just guidance and taking personal responsibility at this point. It's been 2 years since we've been dealing with this pandemic, and people are still, like, acting like they don't know nothing. I mean, when you were quarantined for a couple months at home at the time, we all learned about the transmissibility of COVID-19. And yet, people still not want to wear a mask. People not want to keep their distance. And this is before the vaccine came out. And now we have a vaccine which has been politicized by the former national emergency in the White House, the bum, and his co-conspirators. You have people who refuse to even get the shot in their arm, listening to disinformation online and in other places where there is no supported facts about, you know, the vaccine, the safety of it, or what's in it. He was talking about they did their research. What kind of research you did? I don't know. Well, I just want to make this clear, and I'm just going to say this. This virus is not finished with us. We're almost 1 million people dead from this virus here in the United States of America. And the death toll will keep rising if you do not practice safe mitigation. If you refuse to practice safe mitigation, that includes wear your mask and take the vaccine, we will be in this much longer than anticipated. So go ahead and be dumb and be stupid. But I'm here to tell you, this thing is not over. This false optimism you listen to from these people that want to win elections, it's not over. And to be quite frank, the shrinking majority, aka the white people, not a lot of them is not vaccinated. You know what's the most vaccinated group? AAPI people, the Hispanic community, the black community, the indigenous community. Not white people. Not a lot of them. No. So stop believing that shit too. Do actual research. Primary research. Look at the top of the website. Not going by what the fuck people saying. That's all I got left. Did you hear about the new variant? Yep, I just spoke about Delta Cron. And they're still researching the the transmissible effects, transmissible to human to human body fluids. So that's why you need to practice safe mitigation. Wear your mask out here. I still wear mine. It's 8.4 million people in this city. I'm wearing my mask. But I would like to move on, and I would like to go to the politics. So we all know the crisis in Ukraine. It's been like about 2 weeks since Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, have invaded Ukraine and basically just started a whole nuclear war there, right? Trying to do a hostile takeover of a country that, he will not going to let him take over. So President Zelensky is having negotiation talks with, world leaders, including our president and vice president here, and some people in the Congress to give him money so he can have more weapons and more guns and everything, even though he wants a no-fly zone. But if you have a no-fly zone, you're starting a whole full-on war, right? So those conversations and those talks are still going on. As you know, the president does not want a no-fly zone. He really does not want a war after coming out of a war. And Congress just approved the $13 billion for that bill. Thank you, Queen, for that. Also, the vice president was in Europe talking about the refugee crisis in Poland with the Polish president. So I just have some of this article. I'm not going to read all of it because I'm just not, because it's a lot. So I would like to go to this. I had to sneeze. Just like to go to this. So, right here. Harris ship took place on Wednesday. No, that's the wrong article. And here it is, the latest. The vice president's remarks from the White House website. She would like to thank the Madam Vice President for her presence in Romania. This is the Romanian First Lady. In these challenging moments for the democratic community and for the Euro-Atlantic security. Your visit, Madam Vice President, reflects once more the strength and solidarity of the bilateral strategic partnership and the firm commitment of the United States for the security of Romania and NATO allies from the eastern flank. I conveyed to the Vice President the appreciation of Romania for the efforts and leadership of the United States, of President Biden, of Madam Vice President, and of the entire Washington administration in the very complicated context. The continuous dialogue and the close coordination of the United States with Romania and with all the allies and partners, had a essential contribution to delivering a unified and strong message of the international community to the actions of Russia. Together, we have come up with a firm and prompt response, both from the point of view of assistance in multiple areas, both from Ukraine and for the individuals affected by the conflict, both when it comes to the sanctions applied to Russia and to the measures for adopting the allied posture in its entirety, especially on the eastern flank. Madam Vice President has reconfirmed as part of our today's discussion the full commitment of the United States of America for the Article 5 regarding the collective defense of the NATO-Washington Treaty. This article contains the essence and the spirit of NATO, and grantees that attempt to impact the security of the NATO state will receive a firm, prompt response of the entire alliance. And then she goes on to say more. And then in terms of the refugee crisis, according to Reuters, Madam Vice President, Putin, Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Putin shows no sign of being willing to engage in diplomacy, and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris said Friday during a trip to Romania 3 weeks into Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Harris credited Romania for taking taking in thousands of people fleeing the fighting in neighboring Ukraine. Instead, Washington was constantly reassessing support levels for its NATO allies according to the dynamic situation ground. For everything that we know and have witnessed, Putin showed no signs of engaging in serious diplomacy, and that's what the vice president says. And her visit to Belarus, oh my God, came a day after between Russia and Ukraine and Russia foreign ministers failed to bring any pause in the conflict. And in terms of the refugees, they would ensure they would try to do everything possible. The vice president, in her conversations, and also met with the Canadian president that time in Europe. But hello to everyone. And the reason why I brought this up, because there's been some criticism regarding the vice president, saying she's not that serious. And she laughed at the press conference, which, they both had like a smiley exchange. The vice president smiles a lot. I don't understand where that comes from, because I'm pretty sure no other vice president, even when President Biden was the vice president at the time, nobody criticized him, but we criticized, her, because she's a woman, and two, she's a black woman, a black and Southeast Asian woman. I mean, I don't know what the right problem is. Maybe they wanted the bum and, complicit Michael Richard Pence there. Or they're just mad because really people are tired of the Republican Party. I mean, honestly, I'm like the president. What does the Republican Party stand for? What does the Grand Insurrectionist Party stand for besides the fact they harbor domestic terrorism? They were once for globalism at one point in time, for the quote-unquote people's rights. They were also for diplomacy at one point in time. They was also humanitarians at the time, fiscal hawks. They were for immigration at one point in time, and it's just like, what do they stand for? Absolutely nothing. And FYI, the vice president, not to sound biased, but the vice president actually is really great on the world stage. I mean, our world leaders actually like her and actually are having serious talk about diplomacy versus with Mike Pence, who only had the highest place in government he really served. Well, he served as a congressman at one point in time, but he doesn't have no knowledge of foreign policy at all. Versus the vice president and the president. Because they both sat on the Intel committee when they were both in the Senate, just in different times. They both, ironically, served in the same committees when they were both in the Senate, but just at different times. So there are the right people that's handling the situation. Unfortunately, they were left with a mess from the bum and Michael Richard Pence. So the Republicans need to get their shit straight. Yep, they don't like black women laugh. They don't like black women joy. They like to see us angry. And even average people like to see me angry. And I'm not an angry person. I can be, but I choose not to. Because I'm just a calm individual. That's it. And then, just to sum this up about this whole diplomatic thing, Putin wants to start a Cold War. People think he wants to start a world war, but more is like more of a Cold War. He wants to be an Adolf Hitler and a Joseph Stalin. He wants hostile takeover of a country, and it's not happening. Not in the 21st century. The Ukrainian people are not going for that. And Zelensky is actually, a hero, because he could have been elsewhere. He could have left like the Afghan president, how he left, and he didn't. And Zelensky didn't. Zelensky actually stayed. So right then and there, we know Zelensky is a patriot for his country. versus the Afghanistan president who took the money and bounced. So as I sum this up, Putin days are numbered. Putin thought he could take over a country and seize it. This is not the 1950s no more. This is the third decade of the 21st century, and nobody is not putting up with that BS. Even people from Russia is helping the Ukrainians. That shows a lot of how they feel about Mr. Putin. Because Mr. Putin is in this world alone. And people talking about look out for China. I think China is not trying to get involved because they don't want none of this smoke from the United States. I mean, we got more bombs. We got more bombs. Even though China has a bigger population in the United States, but the United States got more nuclear weapons. I mean, half of our money goes to defense, our tax-paying dollars, and that's just a fact. So, Putin, I suggest that you might as well just surrender. But if you want to be an ass and embarrass yourself on the world stage, like you're doing, do you. Yeah, I mean, I look at Lee Zeldin's campaign, Queen, and it's just a mess. His wife has money linked to Russia. So I don't know how he's going to try to win a state like New York where he has to get the 8.4 million here, the 500 million there. He might get some folks in his native Long Island, but it might not be much. And he got to get people in Buffalo, which I don't think that's going to be much. And people in Albany, not much. And folks in Rochester, not at all. So I'm just saying. Well, enough for international stuff. I would like to go into the domestic politics. And the Emmett Till bill was passed finally after 200 attempts of passing the bill. And I would like to read some stuff on it. Is it? So according to ABC News, in Washington, Congress gave final approval Monday to legislation that for the first time would make lynching a federal hate crime in U.S., sending the bill to President Biden to sign into law. Years in the making, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Bill is among some 200 bills that have been introduced over the past century that have tried to ban lynching in America. It was named from the black teenager who was brutally killing in 1955, and his mother insisted on an open funeral casket so the world can see what had happened to her child. Became a pivotal moment in the civil rights era. After more than 200 failed attempts to outlaw lynching, Congress has finally succeeded in taking long overdue action by passing the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Bill. The bill, what my senator said, the bill would make it possible to prosecute a crime as a lynching when a conspiracy to commit a hate crime results in a death or serious bodily injury, according to the bill champion Rep. Bobby Bush, who is retiring from Illinois. The maximum sentence for the bill will be 30 years in jail. Last week, the House overwhelmingly approved a revised version of the bill. And Congress said the passage of the bill, Emmett Till Bill Act, sends a clear and empathetic message that our nation will no longer ignore this shameful chapter of history, and that the full force of the U.S. federal government will always be brought a bear against those who commit the heinous act. And so there, of course, apparently, so there were 3 House Republicans. Even though it was passed overwhelmingly in the House and in the Senate, you have 3 Republicans, all white men who voted against the bills. And their names are Andrew Clyde from Georgia, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, and Chip Roy of Texas, who voted against the legislation. Am I surprised? No. I mean, those are the same 3 that are complete and utter knuckleheads on the committees they serve in the White House. They are Trumpers. Tea Party Trump idiots. Do I think they're racist? I can't really say racist, but they are racist. Yeah. So I take that back. Massie, Clyde, and Roy are a bunch of racists serving in the legislative branch, the lower chamber. And unfortunately, I don't even know which Democrat will challenge them. They might win their seats overwhelmingly. But this bill is not even a partisan bill. This bill was bipartisan. It doesn't have no ideology. But according to those 3 men, they obviously are okay with lynching. I mean, look where they're from. Kentucky, Texas, Georgia. So sad because those places got a good black majority, especially in Georgia. And in Texas is a big Hispanic community. So I'm saying all of this because the Republican Party have become the party of insurrection and harboring domestic terrorists. So when I hear people saying the Republican Party is worth saving, I'm like, I don't think so. This party is anti-democratic, has morphed into that, morphed into the majority of white men trying to make decisions over a woman's right to choose, a party that's undermining voting as a simple tool of democracy, and just overall humanitarian or being a human. This party, time and time again, was never for evolving change. As long as I've been alive. I was born in the 80s. The Republican Party of today, of the 21st century, the 3rd decade of the 21st century, is not your quote-unquote mother and father's or grandmother or grandfather's Republican Party. Which their Republican Party wasn't shit neither. Not under Eisenhower, Nixon, and Reagan. And even the Bushes. The Republican Party of today is the party of anti-democrat institutions, anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ, anti-black, and anti-evolving America. The Republican Party of the 21st century, the 3rd decade of the 21st century, is not for change. They're not for a free and fair democratic election. They are not for telling the truth. They are not for civil rights of black and brown people in this country, as well as other marginalized communities. They are not the party to help you get a leg up. And they are not the party of pro-life. They're only pro-life when it comes to abortion. They're not pro-life when it comes to the lives of black and brown people being killed by the hands of police officers. And those are the facts. You can't debate the facts because the facts are out there. That's all I'm saying. And in terms of the midterms, I said from before, pick a side. Are you for the team that will actually get you to where you want to be in life, even though it's not faster than you want to be, but it's incremental change? It's not undermining your democracy or the democracy, not undermining free and fair elections, your rights as a human, and just overall a free country? Or are you for the side that's anti-democratic? So I'm going to say this once again. As the midterms are approaching, what side are you on? Are you on the side of the party that is pro-human rights, pro-civil rights, pro-choice in all forms, and is for democracy, preserving and bettering democracy, even if it's incremental change? Or you are on the side of anti-democracy, including authoritarianism and just plain racism? So I'm asking you, pick a side, because I know what side I'm on. And that's why you should vote during the primaries as well. But the midterms will be an ongoing conversation up until November. So I will have these conversations more than once. Now I'm at the time, I was going to talk about the New York primaries, but that is a separate time because I have a lot of thoughts on that. And I have a lot of thoughts on all the other races, which I will cover that the next time when I'm on here. Now in terms of time to read. So, Stephanie Grisham, the former press secretary during the Bums administration and the former press secretary for the First Lady, appeared on The View this week. She was supposed to appear Tuesday and Wednesday, but she was there Thursday and today on Friday. So, she, good Lord, had so much opinions to say, but was so loud and so wrong. I would just like to play a clip, a soundbite of her getting gathered together. So here it is.
Unprepared. Is that they constantly question the qualifications of black women, and that's why people are saying that she's unprepared.
Oh, I disagree. I think she
You can disagree, but that's the truth of it. And so this is based in racism. This is based in misogyny. And we're talking about a woman that has extensive experience abroad, extensive experience as an attorney, extensive experience as the chief legal officer of one of our largest states in the country. And I think this is just much ado about nothing. I mean, we didn't talk about Vice President Pence's, the right didn't talk about his handling of the COVID epidemic, which I think, or the AIDS epidemic, which I think led to, thousands and thousands of deaths. And what they're talking about is her laugh. She was there as an emissary, really, and she wanted to reassure the NATO allies that as Russia steps up its attacks on Ukraine, that the United States was going to be supportive. In fact, she's in, I think, Bulgaria right now. She is prepared. She is seasoned. she gets wonderful marks across the board. But this is just something that I think happens to women, and especially black women.
And you know,
And so that was one. But there was one that really stuck out. There was another one that stuck out to me. So here it is.
Somebody like you. Just part of the Republican Party, and so are you.
Yes.
Which is bizarre to somebody like me. If we're gonna talk real, let's talk real. Why are you, as a Latina, still part of the Republican Party? And why are you, having seen it firsthand, still part of the Republican Party?
So therefore, let me just sum this up. Stephanie Grisham, no one never really heard of her until she was in the Trump White House. And when she was there, she didn't say anything. It took a whole insurrection to happen on January 6th for people like her and Elaine Chao and the rest of them to leave because they were so disheartened of what has happened at the Capitol during that time when it was supposed to be the peaceful transfer of power. And since most of those people from the revolving door of the bum's White House administration staff have left, they got book deals to write books. Some of them appeared on TV and everything. And I'm for people getting their money, but these particular people don't deserve to even get $1 from anyone. Because why? Because during the years of that bum's administration, when he put out the worst, atrocious policies that affect the majority of people in this country, the black and brown people in this country, they stood silent and said not a goddamn word, including Stephanie. When Stephanie was the press secretary, she did not hold not one fucking press conference or press briefing. If that was someone like Jen Psaki, Karine Jean-Pierre, or any of the press secretaries, including the deputy press secretaries in the Obama administration, it would be straight news, nonstop, 24/7. But with this administration, with the bum's administration, it was all right for people to do what the fuck they want to do at full range. Lie like Kellyanne Conway, Sean Spicer, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Misogynistic as Anthony Scaramucci during his very short tenure in the White House. An asshole like Peter Navarro. I mean, the list goes on and on of all the people that were in that White House. And I can't forget about Omarosa, who was just a straight up you-know-what in that White House and just tossed out resumes in the garbage of qualified black people that had experience working in the White House. Those people don't deserve none of my praise, and I will never defend them. I won't even defend Omarosa, and she's supposed to be a sister, right? I'm not defending her. So I said what I said, and I kept it a buck. And another thing that frustrated me with Stephanie Grisham, when she was asked who you will support in 2020 if that bum runs again, she said, I will write in a candidate. If I'm not happy or I'm not pleased with the certain candidate, I'm not going to vote that candidate. I'm going to write in a candidate instead of voting for that candidate. So I got something to say to Stephanie. Miss Stephanie Grisham, I'm hoping that you're listening. I'm hoping it reach you. May not. I could care less. But I'm going to speak my mind. Miss Grisham, nobody's not falling for your pity or your sad story. I don't care if you was a single mom, needing a job. I really don't have no compassion that you want to speak up for your son, even though he came out to you. God bless him. But don't use your son as a crutch in this situation. Because you are a grown-ass woman. You easily could have found a job. You're a white woman at that. But you decided to stay in that nasty ass White House while that man was doing all kind of destruction, not just on domestic policy, but on the international stage. And you stood there and you didn't say shit. Instead, you wrote a fucking book speaking your mind. And then you appear on The View, being the asshole that you are, and decided that you want to, come clean? Like, really? But I would like to say this to you, Miss Grisham. Gotta crack my knuckles for this one. Stephanie Grisham, nobody is falling for your sob story. Nobody cares about your sob story. Nobody cared how you felt in that White House because you should have left and you felt a certain way. Instead, you stayed. You worked for the bum and then you worked for his wife who is just as bad as he is. She's not a good person. She's a birther. She's a loser. She's not a good person. She doesn't care about this country. As you said she did. She's not a strong woman. She's not a strong, independent woman. Because she wouldn't marry that man. If she was a strong, independent woman, she wouldn't even been in his presence. Wouldn't even had a kid from him. So that's not a strong woman. I guess you got the interpretation of what a strong woman is. Maybe you need to look that up in a dictionary somewhere. But Melania Trump is not a strong woman. And you, Stephanie, is not a strong woman. Because if you was a strong woman, you would have held a press conference no matter what the hell he said. Because you're getting paid by our money. You're getting paid on government tax dollars. And you decide you want to hold a press conference? That's why I'm not falling for her pity. So, Stephanie, I'm not falling for your pity. And as of the white people that were backing her, this was interesting because I'm going to read all of these messages. So, I screenshot a lot of stuff. Y'all know I keep a receipt. But there was about two particular screenshots that stuck out to me. Here goes one. When I said that, because I said like Stephanie Grisham, the majority of women like her will continue to keep voting for the GOP because, they don't care about the rights of women and care about other women and da-da-da. So somebody told me to stop it. Another person told me ally implies that they're cool only when they suit your needs. Another said bigotry and tribalism celebrate women empowerment. Then another person said to me was, not all voted for Trump, so please don't shoebox white women. Another said, not fair. I'm a white Trump hating woman. I think all Trump haters are allies, regardless of color. I am not sure why you want to throw away every white woman that are not your ally. But this one in particular took me by surprise. Come on, that's not right. Stephanie Grisham no more represents the majority of white women than Candace Owens represent the majority of black women. Stop. I'll read that again. Come on, that's not right. Stephanie Grisham no more represents the majority of white women than Candace Owens represents the majority of black women. Stop. I think my knuckles are already cracked for this one. So, I guess white women have not learned from the first video, the second video, the other videos. So, this here, I hope they learned something. If a tweet does not apply to you, if you did not For example, vote for Trump in 2016 and 2020. Then let it fly over your motherfucking head. How many times have people told y'all if nothing applies to you, then ignore it? No, you always want to put your 2 cents into the shit. And then you think you're doing something and you're really not doing anything. You're exposing your racial biases, and that's what you white women have constantly have done. This is why black women, Latino women, Asian women, indigenous women don't trust y'all because of shit like this. And that woman blocked me, and I'm glad she did because she fucked around and she found out that I'm not the one. I screenshot the tweet. She deleted it. I screenshot it. Because screenshots last forever. So I'm letting all you white women know out there now. I'm letting you know all out there. If my tweet, I am Chantay, if my tweet does not apply to you, if it's not directed to you, let it fly over your motherfucking head. Don't respond with a snarky remark. Because you will get that smoke. And I will hurt your feelings. I don't care who you are and what you are. I don't even care about anything in your life. What you will not do is tone police me and try to comfort me and try to outsmart me. Because I'm not the one. I don't play nice. So if you want to avoid confrontation online, or in person, then avoid me. Avoid my tweets. Mute me. Block me. Don't respond to something that does not apply to you. And FYI, the majority of white women voted for Donald Trump at 53% in 2016 and at 55% in 2020. And even in Virginia, they voted for Glenn Youngkin at 57%, almost 60% if you round that number. So yes, white women tend to vote majority for Republicans more than black women and Latino women. So when y'all want to come with this bullshit talking about not this white woman, maybe you need to talk to your white sisters about how they vote. And how they approach difficult conversation. Because obviously they can't. And obviously you can't. Because some of you 40-something% of white Democratic voters that are women, only 5% of y'all actually get it. You other 30-something%, y'all don't get it. Because y'all keep going in my motherfucking mentions. And many other black women mentions that address and call out the white supremacy of white women, majority of white women that they keep withholding and keep voting for. So please fucking stop. But as I wrap this up, I would like to say to you folks, please do your research. Please stay abreast because we're living in some crazy ass times right now. I mean, do something fun with your life. You know, try to digress. You can be abreast. And you can have fun. Well, let me just word this. Stay on top of things, but also enjoy your life. You know, we're going through a lot right now. We're still in the midst of a raging pandemic. There's conflict overseas, and we still got drama here if you live in the United States of America. So racism is still steep and deep. Well, these are trying times, and we have to stay positive. And that's all I got for y'all. So I will see y'all next week. And also tune in to Unapologetically She on on Tuesdays when the episode airs on your Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Also subscribe to us on Patreon if y'all need to. And I'll see y'all then. Deuces.